Hello, it's Gary Fox here, and this video shows me removing some of the vinyl from a floor piece, from the floor. And I had to turn off the original volume, original audio, because while it was recording I was playing music in the background, and I don't want to get any hassles about copyright violations. So I'm going to talk you through what I was doing here. What I did was I originally cut that vinyl floor into about 2 foot by 2 foot pieces. And that's approximate. It's just the deal is that you don't want to try to make it too big because it's hard to pull up. The particular section I was working on was the hardest section of the floor. For some reason the glue worked a lot better on that section. I think it was because the grain of the wood was a little bit more open on that particular section, and also that particular part of the floor had more traffic on it. It was right in the middle of the floor, so what you're seeing was a real pain in the patoot. What I did was I used a scraper. It's called it's by Red Devil, and I used that to dig underneath that vinyl, and combination of tugging and pulling and kicking and cussing and you name it, and I eventually got it all pulled off. After I got the vinyl done, the next session was going to be trying to pull it, get all that paper, and in this particular case the vinyl split in half. The different layers of the vinyl, some of it still stayed on there. I had to get those off of the floor. The way I did that, and I don't show that in the video here, is that I actually used a wet piece of cloth and a hot iron on steam setting, steamed it off. Even so, in this particular part of this floor, I had a hard time. What you're seeing me do right now, that is a tool by Rigid, and I think it's called the Job Max, I believe, and it's a portable tool, and the blade on it vibrates back and forth at a really high speed. And the blade that I have there is by Dremel. It basically looks like a little chisel blade. It's a scraper blade is what it's designed for, and that worked really good for starting this stuff. You couldn't do it as fast as you can by just using a scraper. Now what I'm having to do, because it is glued so tight, I'm actually using a hammer to push that scraper through. And what you want to try to do is avoid getting any wood with it. Unfortunately, in this particular part of the floor, I did get some of the wood there, and so I had to fill it back in once I was done. The way the floor is done is you have a subfloor, which is really rough plywood, and then they put some underlayment, which is smoother plywood, approximately about a 1/4 inch thick over top of that. I didn't want to take the underlayment off. Did want to have to take the vinyl off because the vinyl was tore in several different places. Combination of feet of beds and stuff like that actually being moved across it, and actually tore a hole in that vinyl. I didn't think I could fill it, and the vinyl that I'm going to be putting on the floor is going to be thick enough that it will doesn't have to be glued on the floor. Also has a fiberglass base on it. Did run into some problems on that, but I'll talk about those on the blog page. Meanwhile, you can kind of watch me fussing and cussing and trying to take this thing off. And I took the first 2 foot patch. You see the parts of this one comes off very quickly, but some of the other parts of it are really hard to take off. So a combination of using that Red Devil scraper, pulling, tugging, and then also just the Dremel tool and the rigid tool was the best. If I had it to do over with again, I would not have bought the portable, the battery-powered rigid tool. I'd have went ahead and just had the cord. But at the time, I thought that was the best I could do, and I think it was the only one that was available at the time. The rigid tool is also useful. Has a saw blade on it, and when it comes to undercutting the trim so that you can put the vinyl underneath the door facings, it does a much better job than trying to cut around the door facings, and you end up with something that looks a whole lot better when you're done. So that tool is a very useful tool. Anyhow, that's the way I did it. I'm probably going to just let this thing play on with no sound whatsoever, and you'll see me getting the very last of this thing. Hopefully you got something out of this. I think I added a little bit more than what some of the others did, especially when you get to the blog site. And I appreciate you watching. And there's just a little bit more going to play. And then you can see what happened. And it's not a fun job. It sucks. Anyhow, good luck if you have to do something similar.